Now they're going to have to expunge these tickets every 6 months.
Big changes in the state of Illinois for those caught with marijuana, likely meaning more work for law enforcement. Plus, Mayor Dennis Pauly's new opponent, the man announcing his run for Rock Island mayor later this morning.
WHBF is local for you. This is Local 4 News this morning.
Good morning. I'm Emily Scarlett. Thanks for watching Local 4 News this morning. A new law in Illinois decriminalizes having small amounts of marijuana, and that means law enforcement and prosecutors have to change the way they handle marijuana cases. Governor Bruce Rauner signed the law on Friday. It eliminates jail time for possession of 10 grams or less. It also lets drivers have small amounts of THC in their system. Local 4's Krista Burris shares how the changes will impact local law enforcement.
The East Moline police captain says the lower penalties for possession won't affect them as much as the new legal driving limit for THC. He says it's going to be harder and more expensive to enforce.
It'll be another unfunded mandate from the state. Of course, there will be cost to having the blood analyzed to get that 5 nanograms.
The East Moline Captain Thomas Reagan is in charge of the department's patrol unit. He says they don't test for THC, the chemical connected to marijuana, out in the field. Instead, drivers are taken to the hospital. Rock Island County State's Attorney John McGehee says the new law is tougher to enforce.
The way that it did read, any amount of cannabis in your system, you can receive a DUI. 5 nanograms are going to be very difficult to determine if you have that amount of THC in your system.
McGehee says law enforcement agencies may have to go to private labs for testing. He says that can be very expensive, possibly thousands of dollars per test.
A serious case of either an accident or somebody's harmed or injured by somebody driving, I think law enforcement, they have no choice but to go to an outside agency.
The new law doesn't just change the legal driving limit. It also takes jail time off the table for possession of 10 grams or less. Instead, people could face a fine between $100 and $200. Most cities already have an ordinance that won't be affected by this law. The new standards also expunge the crime after 6 months.
It does make more responsibility for the clerk because now they're going to have to expunge these tickets every 6 months.
Reagan says drivers should still make good decisions before getting behind the wheel.
They should not be drinking and driving. They should not be driving while intoxicated with a drug or cannabis.
The state's attorney says with time he thinks they'll have clearer standards and it'll be less expensive to enforce. Krista Burris, Local 4 News.
Thank you, Krista. A Quad Cities businessman wants to be the next mayor of Rock Island. Today, Mike Tomes will formally announce his candidacy. Tomes will challenge Dennis Pauly for the position. He'll make a formal announcement at a news conference at 10 this morning at the Establishment Theater in Rock Island. Your local election headquarters will be there and we'll bring you the latest. Congressman Dave Loebsack will attend 2 events today in the Quad Cities. First up, he'll speak and take questions from participants at the Bettendorf Business Network lunch. That takes place at noon at the Hilton Garden Inn. Then he's off to Eldridge for a Main Street walking tour. That begins at 3:30 at the Eldridge City Hall. Illinois is staring at an ever-growing $8 billion pile of unpaid bills. There are plenty of people who think the state wastes a lot of money. Now there's a group that wants your ideas for cutting back. Local 4's Emily Fannin reports where you can give your suggestions.
We need to look at everything, line by line, take suggestions from the public and state employees as to how we can save money as a state. Our budget has been out of balance for far too long.
There's a lot of spending in state government, but for years, Representative Tim Butler says it's been managed poorly.
It's a tough situation that we're in with the budget, and every area that we can find to pinch a few pennies, I think, is worth it.
Butler is a member on the State Government Suggestion Award Board. Its goal is to have state workers and the public come up with ideas to get rid of wasteful spending. If your idea passes, you can get up to $5,000.
It's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, if anybody's got good ideas it's going to save the state money, then why wouldn't we do it?
The program was reactivated by the Rauner administration after years of neglect. A majority of people agree our state needs to save as much as possible with a budget impasse lasting over a year.
This is an excellent way to get people that care in there to discuss the issues and make recommendations that the government can use.
Bridwell says she hears a lot of her friends talk about ways to save the state money. She says there's too much being spent on infrastructure.
I mean, it's very nice to have pretty park benches and all that, but roads without holes in them would probably be a little bit more beneficial to the whole entire population.
Since this board started in the 90s, annual reports show it saved more than $550,000.
People have some good ideas on, so I think we'll see some of those come forward, hopefully, and submitted to this board, and hopefully some employees will be getting some money back for it.
That was Emily Fannin reporting. There are some guidelines for presenting your ideas. They cannot hurt anyone or have any kind of safety issue. They also cannot require a state or federal constitutional change. The Army Corps of Engineers in Rock Island is celebrating 150 years with a big display. Today you can see the largest towboat on the Mississippi River. We recorded this video of the enormous motor vessel Mississippi from our Skycam last night. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is hosting an open house today so you can get an up-close look. It runs from 10 this morning until 1 at the River Heritage Park in downtown Davenport. The boat is here for inspections of Corps projects in the area. A new twist on an iconic arcade game is here in the Quad Cities with a mission in mind. Analog Arcade Bar is hosting Pinky Pack. It's a traveling version of Miss Pac-Man to promote breast cancer awareness and raise money. You can play for free until August 15th, though donations are appreciated. The money goes to cancer care and research at the Bolingbrook Hospital Foundation. So sounds like a lot of fun. Of course, Pac-Man is a classic.
It is a classic, and for people of a certain age, maybe they need to go in there and relive some of those younger memories where we were all carefree and didn't have too many worries, and donate some money for a good cause.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good time to do it. Free until August 15th, which is even more of an incentive to make a donation. So definitely a great cause there.
I agree with that.
All right. Well, happy Tuesday to you, Anthony. How are we doing outside so far?
Well, it feels like a Monday to me. Back to work now, but it was nice to get away. Outside right now, not looking too bad across the Quad Cities, but just to the southwest of the Fairfield, Iowa area, some moderate to heavy rain falling this morning. We'll get to that and some flash flooding. 69 in the Quad Cities. You can see that heavy rain now across southeastern Iowa and northeastern Missouri. This is slowly moving off to the east. We really haven't seen that much advancement toward Fairfield, but you could see some moderate to heavy rain early this morning over southeastern Iowa. Yet much of this will be falling in the same area into northern Missouri. You can see that moving slowly east and southeast. So the areas that do see some rain could see some flash flooding today over the next few days, and high temperatures today. I think in the Quad Cities will be a few degrees warmer than this, into the upper 80s. Then tonight we drop back into the low to mid 70s, and tomorrow I still think it'll be a few degrees warmer than this in the Quad Cities, but notice that the temperatures in the low to mid 90s across southeastern Iowa. We'll see those low to mid 90s as we head into Thursday.
All right, we've already seen some of that extreme heat this season. It's coming back this week.
That and the humidity, but we have some relief on the way, and we'll talk about that too.
Thank you, Anthony. The Cubs once again dominate at home, and a basketball showdown quickly adds another contender in this week's Go For It. We've got your morning sports next.
Stay with us. The time now is 6:39. You're watching Local 4 News this morning.
WHBF is local for you with Emily Scarlett and meteorologist Anthony Peoples. This is Local 4 News this morning in high definition.